High in the northern mountains, there is a road that disappears every winter. Snow buries it completely. The forest grows silent, and the few cabins scattered along the slopes are left empty until spring. But hikers who travel there during the coldest months sometimes report something strange. A cabin, a small wooden cabin sitting deep in the forest. The strange part is this: the cabin only appears in winter. When the snow melts, it's gone. The first known report came in 1987. A cross-country skier named Daniel Morris was traveling through the Northern Ridge Trail. A heavy snowstorm forced him off the marked path. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Through the falling snow, he spotted a faint light between the trees. A cabin window glowing warm yellow. Daniel approached. The cabin looked old but well-maintained. Smoke drifted slowly from a stone chimney. He knocked on the door. No answer, but the door slowly creaked open. Inside the cabin was warm. A fire burned quietly in the fireplace. A wooden table held lantern, a cup of tea, and a small journal. But there was no one inside. Daniel opened the journal on the table. Inside were dozens of entries written by different people. Each entry described the same thing: travelers lost in the snow finding the cabin. Each person wrote about resting there overnight, but every entry ended the same way. A final sentence: they're walking outside now. The final entry in the book was dated January 12, 1964. Daniel assumed the cabin belonged to a ranger or hunter. He stayed the night beside the fire, but sometime after midnight, he woke to a sound outside. Footsteps in the snow, slow, crunching, circling the cabin. Daniel looked through the window. At first, he saw nothing but snow and darkness. Then shapes began to move between the trees, tall figures, standing still, watching the cabin. They didn't move closer. They simply stood there, silent. Daniel closed the curtains and stayed awake until morning. When the sun rose, the figures were gone. But the snow outside was covered in footprints, hundreds of them, all surrounding the cabin. Daniel returned to the location the next summer. He wanted to thank whoever owned the cabin. But when he reached the exact clearing, there was nothing there. No cabin, no chimney, no foundation, only trees. Even the clearing itself seemed smaller, almost like the cabin had never existed. Over the years, more hikers told the same story. A warm cabin appearing during snowstorms, always in slightly different locations within the forest, always empty, always with a fire already burning, and always with the same journal on the table. The journal somehow never ran out of pages. New entries continued appearing every winter, each one written by someone who had taken shelter there. In 2019, a park ranger named Olivia Hart decided to investigate. She had heard the stories from hikers for years. Most people assumed the cabin was just a myth, but Olivia noticed something strange. Every report happened during extremely heavy snowfall. The same conditions every time. She decided to search the forest during a winter storm. At midnight, her flashlight caught something between the trees. A cabin, exactly as described. Small, wooden, smoke rising from the chimney. Olivia approached slowly. The door was already open. Inside the cabin, she found the journal on the table. She flipped to the last page. The newest entry had been written just hours earlier, but the handwriting wasn't human. The letters were uneven, scratched into the paper, and the final sentence read, "They came inside tonight." Olivia heard something outside, footsteps, crunching slowly through deep snow. Then another set, then another. The sound surrounded the cabin. Olivia looked through the window. Shapes stood between the trees, dozens of them, tall silhouettes barely visible in the storm. And slowly, they began walking toward the cabin. Olivia ran outside and followed the footprints the next morning. They led away from the cabin into the forest. But after a few hundred meters, the tracks suddenly stopped, not faded, Not buried, stopped, as if the figures had simply vanished. Olivia returned with a research team the following summer. They searched the forest for weeks, but like Daniel decades earlier, they found nothing. No cabin, no foundation, no chimney stones, only untouched forest. Today, the legend still spreads among winter hikers. Some believe the cabin is real. Others say it's just a shared hallucination caused by exhaustion and cold. But every winter, new entries appear in the journal. Entries written by travelers who survived the night inside the cabin. And each entry ends with the same warning. If you ever find the cabin during a snowstorm, do not stay after midnight, because the figures outside are trying to come in.